Right, well, welcome back to the channel, guys. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but I've decided that I'm going to do NXT No Mercy 2023 full show critique, as it's been a while and I thought that I've only done one of these videos and I enjoyed doing it the last time, so I hope you all enjoy. Let's get started with Blair Davenport versus Kalani Jordan. Now, Blair Davenport versus Kalani Jordan. I thought this was a very good match for the short time they got. They got around 6 minutes. And despite Kalani Jordan losing this match, she did have a good showing off good athleticism and good, getting out of pins. So I think she had a good showing for how fresh she was to WWE in a whole. And Blair Davenport was able to get a win, which is overall good, and show her, brutal offense. And after the match had concluded, I liked how they continued the story from the previous NXT, having Gigi Dolan attack Blair Davenport after Gigi Dolan got attacked by Blair Davenport. So overall, it was a good match, but I'd only give it about, I'd say, a 5 out of 10, because they didn't really have that much time, considering it was a kickoff show match. Before I talk about this match of Bron Breakker versus Baron Corbin, I'd just like to mention that I did like how they started the show, having the matches be just selected by some guy playing a video game, and that's how they go into the video packages. I did really enjoy that, to pay homage to where the actual name of it comes from. Now, on to the match of Bron Breakker versus Baron Corbin. I really enjoyed their entrances, as I'm a big fan of both of their entrances and their entrances theme. I preferred Bron Breakker's theme song he had here to his current ones, but overall I enjoyed the entrances. I also liked the fact that they didn't actually start the match, start fighting when the match began, and started fighting on the outside, with Bron Breakker doing freakish athleticism. So I did enjoy that, and security guards getting out of dodge at first, and then later on getting punched in the face by Bron Breakker. So I did like that part of it. Now, before I get into when the match begun, this was the last non-championship match on the show. So, to be the last one and the only one on the main show, you kind of had high expectations, if you get what I mean. But on to when the match begun. They both have very similar styles, and that complemented each other very well, as you had big kickouts when Baron Corbin kicked out of the military press slam. You also had table moments, like when Baron Corbin went for a senton and missed, but the table didn't break yet. And then later on, when it did, Bron got chokeslammed through it and then just sat up like the Undertaker, to show how much of a beast he is, I guess. So he kind of does seem like the next Brock Lesnar or the next Goldberg, or a mix of the two. But I think that Bron Breakker did show how good of a mixed athlete he is, with loads of strength and athleticism. But also, Baron Corbin showed on why he's a legend of the industry at this point. He's been in 8 years in WWE, and that was around the same time Kurt Angle had in the company in his first run, who he retired, and they mentioned that on commentary. But I'm also happy that they protected the End of Days, because it's a really good finisher. When the first person kicked out of it was supposed to be a big moment, and it was when Drew McIntyre kicked out at WrestleMania 38. But overall, it was a good match. It had good moments. It was all good when Robert Stone cost Bron Breakker the match by trying to dive onto him, getting caught, and then thrown into the security. And then the End of Days happened. Overall, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Because I wish the match would have gone a bit longer, but that was the only critique I really had of the match. Now, let's talk about Dominic Mysterio defending the NXT North American title against Trick Williams, with the special guest referee being Dragon Lee. I really thought a special guest referee was really good, as it made the match feel bigger, because realistically, Trick Williams was just a replacement, because Mustafa Ali got released right before his big championship match at No Mercy, and it was pretty clear that Mustafa Ali was supposed to win the title. but it was still a good match. You had Dominic Mysterio showing how much he's improved since becoming NXT North American Champion, and Trick Williams showing how good of a competitor he is, whether it's like power or agility. He's got a very similar move set to Booker T, because I'm pretty sure he's got inspiration from that, and that's a good move set to copy from. It's not a complete copy, but it's still similar. Now, I'm happy that Trick Williams won. I'm a fan, and it was good for him to hold the title, even if it was just for 3 days, since I'm talking about this after, like, what? It's 2024 now when this video is taking place, so and you should know about that by now. So it was unfortunate how short the reign was, but the match was really good. It was kind of short, in my opinion, but I do like that when refs go down, and it was interesting to have it by accident, and for both wrestlers to hit the refs by accident, because you had 2 refs. You had the special guest referee, Dragon Lee, who was taken out when Dominic Mysterio went for a super kick, and because Trick Williams ducked, he got hit. And then later in the match, when a referee came, Dominic Mysterio was going to run ropes and knocked out the other official, so I guess it was Dominic both times. So then that caused Trick Williams to have to go and get another ref. So I do like ref knockdown moments. I don't really care if it's just allowing the competitors to take advantage, or if it's having someone else come down to interfere. I do like them. But overall, this match, I'd give it a 6 because of how short it was. No. This match, like, I do like tag team matches where there's like loads of teams in it, but they can't always go well. But this match slapped. Like, this was probably my favorite match of the night, because it was high octane action. You also had some slow moments, and you had storytelling within the match as well as before the match, and showing it after the match. I liked how you had the faces the 2 face tag teams have a certain relationship throughout the match, and have the heel tag teams have a certain relationship throughout the match. Obviously, the heel one was later and less frequent in the match, because both of them were trying to become tag team champions and didn't really care about each other that much. But it was overall an amazing match. I think the right team won, with Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo winning. But I did actually forget to say what this match was. It was the D'Angelo family defending the NXT tag team titles in a fatal 4-way match against the Creed brothers, who I'm pretty sure a month after this they got called up to the main roster. OTM, Out the Mud, and Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. Now, I do remember when I first watched this show, I was rooting for Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, because they hadn't actually held a title yet. Like, Angel Garza held the Cruiserweight title, but I'm talking about like a tag title. So I was kind of rooting for them, but in retrospect, it was a good thing that the D'Angelo family won, because they got to have us do that big storyline with Chase U later on. But that's not about that. But overall, it was a really good match. I felt like it had the right amount of time in the match, and different moments were good. It was also good seeing the face tag teams finally fight. So overall, I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10, because it's the best match on the show. Now, before I get into the Heritage Cup match, I just want to say, I liked what they did before the match, having Lexus King being promoted without you knowing it's actually Lexus King, by having him like go through old WCW shows with his dad, because he didn't really like want to remember his actual dad, and having Trick and Mello have that moment celebrating the fact that they were both champions, and having Becky look for weapons and showing like the music coming up that was like presenting the show. It was overall good. Now, this match was Butch versus Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup. I've always enjoyed this type of match. I know not everyone does. I love Heritage Cup matches since I first saw it introduced in 2020 when they were crowning the inaugural champion. So I thought this was one of the really good Heritage Cup matches, having Butch be the honourable one who didn't actually use any outside interference with. He did like stomp on some fingers at the end of the battle, but that was just him getting payback after Noam Dar elbowed him a few rounds previously. So I like that element, having Noam Dar have to have 7 people, as Vic Joseph said, to defend his Heritage Cup successfully. Having Gallus, who I'm guessing were in a rivalry with them at the time, having them attack Tyler Bate and having Joe Coffey give Butch Best of the Bells to end the match, I thought was very good. Also having them both one-on-one, I enjoyed that a lot. And overall, this was a really good match. As I said before, the NXT Tag Team Championship match was my favorite, but this one was a really good match. So I'm gonna give this overall an 8. But it was a really good match. It's just that sometimes it's supposed to be about prestige, the cup, and that's why the outside interference didn't really work for me, but that's why I'm going to give it an 8. Now, this match was Ilya Dragunov challenging Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship. Now, as it's Ilya Dragunov, you know that this was an absolute banger, and this was probably, to that point, Carmelo's best match. But it's also the match he lost the title in, but that was good because it was Ilya Dragunov's time to become NXT champion. But before the match, I really enjoyed Melo's entrance, as it showed the people he had beaten in his reign, being Bron Breakker, Wesley, Ilya Dragunov, Noam Dar. Those were, I think, all of them. Oh, and Grayson Waller, as a way to show that he thinks that he's untouchable, which a champion should think that. So I thought this was a really, really good match. Like, I still think the NXT tag title match was better, but this was brutal. It's an Ilya Dragunov match. You know he took this match personally and started, like, selling. His selling was unbelievable, but Carmelo Hayes' ability was good as well, turning what would usually be a middle rope diving DDT into a bulldog was good, and having them kick out of finishers to show how much the title means to them. It was a phenomenal match. I'm giving this a 9.5. Not a 10, because I don't think it was the best match of the night. That was the NXT tag title match. But yeah, this match was good beyond belief. Like, a lot of people would have obviously said, oh, this is going to be a great match, but they didn't know what was actually going to come of it. Before this match happened, Becky Lynch defending her NXT Women's Championship against Tiffany Stratton. I thought it was a really good idea to show who was competing in the Women's Breakout Tournament. Whoever won that would get a confirmed title shot against the title these two are competing for. So I thought that was a really good idea to display it, so that you could really see the potential challenges you'd get, and penultimately one of the challenges you did get in Lola Vice. Right, this is probably one of it's definitely the best women's match of the night, having one other match to compete with, but it really showed that Tiffany Stratton is a main event player. She's not just someone to grab a quick paycheck, which people might have thought before the match. She definitely is there to compete. She's there to prove herself, and she definitely proved herself in this match and made a lot of believers for her at the end of this match. But it also showed how Becky could elevate younger talent, shown in Tiffany Stratton. But this being an Extreme Rules match of Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton for the NXT Women's Championship, you had weapons. You had brass knuckles. You had fan weapons, where this guy gave Becky a gold chain. You had a barbed wire bat that Becky used. You had tables. You had chairs. You had screwdrivers. You had loads of different weapons, which made it a really good match. So I don't think this was the best match. It definitely should have main evented like it did, but as I just said before, I think the tag title match was the best, but this was still a really, really good match. So I'm going to give this a solid 10 out of 10. But after the match, it was kind of cool to see Trick and Mello talk after Trick had won his title, but Mello had lost his, to try and kind of get together and try and talk about it to see how they could actually come back from this loss. But now that I've finished the show, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 show. Overall, I think it was probably one of the best NXT shows of the year of 2023, maybe the best.